Jack is brought before the judge, and Snyder says he'll speak for Jack. Unclear, like, Snyder is not a lawyer.
I don't understand law in 1899. I don't know if they understand law.
I don't understand
in
law,
1899.
period, but I'm pretty sure the prosecutor cannot represent the defendant.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no business like show business.
Mamma mia, here I go again. My
Of the music
There we go.
I got wine in my eye last night to add to the myriad of things that I have accidentally got into my eye. Toothpaste and now wine.
Oh god, that's right. I was like, there was something else. I got hand sanitizer in my eye recently.
Oh no.
Which is not. But tell
Killed
me about the wine.
99.9% of bacteria.
And also my retina. How'd you get wine in your eye?
I don't exactly know, but I was like just drinking from the glass and I must have just like pulled it down just a little bit too hard because it like little blooped. And then one of the blooped right into my eye.
Was it white or red?
It was pink.
Oh, somehow the worst. I got hand sanitizer in my eye by someone gave me sanitizer, but it was like a lot, and I was being dramatic, so I clapped my hands together, and it fully shot into my eye. I did that fully to myself.
Yep,
It was for a joke. All right.
Do it for the bit. Commit for the bit.
I don't know how we're gonna parlay this into an intro, but hello!
Hi!
And welcome to 5678, a movie musical podcast, the podcast where we recap and review movie musicals. I'm Anna.
I'm Grace.
And this week's episode is the 1992 classic Newsies.
Newsies. Oh boy. Now,
oh boy.
Had you ever seen this?
Do you have to ask that question?
I always have to check because it's always baffling to me how few musicals you've actually seen considering how much you love musicals.
Movies in general, how few
That's
I've
true.
seen. No, I had not seen this.
Had you seen the 2011 one?
Nope.
Oh!
But I have listened to that soundtrack, and they filmed it. You're talking about the Broadway production, right?
Yeah,
it was filmed, and I've definitely seen clips.
Yeah.
But I actually know the Broadway soundtrack very well. It's just one of those, like, if I need, like, a pick-me-up, I'll listen to that soundtrack. You want to know, like, what the base of my dramaturgical knowledge of the 1992 Newsies is there's a Heaving Bosoms episode about it. And I've listened to that. So I knew going in that there were changes.
Yeah.
I knew that characters would be different.
Yes.
So I wasn't just, like, completely in the dark.
I had never seen the 92 movie, never seen the 2011 filmed production, and never listened to the soundtrack. This was a brand spanking new experience for me.
Oh no! Wow,
I mean,
the tables, how they turn.
How they have turned. So I had listened also to the Heaving Bosoms podcast. Shout out to those two fabulous ladies.
Great.
So it's like I had a general concept of the plot, and I knew that Christian Bale was in it, but I'd completely forgotten that Bill Pullman was in this movie until he showed up, and then I fully screamed for joy. I love that man.
I forgot. I don't think I ever knew he was in this, and he came on screen, and I was like, is that the president?
Yes, it is. Mr. President, what are you
Mr.
doing
President,
here?
what are you doing here? This is our first Disney movie, right?
Yeah, I know. It had the lovely opening, like the classic old school da 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 da, that whole thing, and I got a little bit of like nostalgia joy. Yep.
I will say I had the same reaction, but I'm so used to the Poor Unfortunate podcast intro that does like the John Cena wah 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 right after that. I was just like expecting that.
Also, shout out to that podcast.
That's not
Listen to all of these. Oh boy.
Let's dive into this one. This movie is available for streaming if you have Disney Plus. It is 2 hours and like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's available for rent on Amazon, which is how I watched it. This is based on actual events.
Yeah.
Which is wild. We start strong with some New York accents.
Brooklyn, New York accents. It's aggressive.
In sepia, so you know it's a flashback.
And it's a bunch of pictures of old-timey people.
But we do get the background. I'm looking at my notes and, like, the beginning of this movie was rough for me of just, like, how many notes do I take? Because it moves quickly at the beginning.
It does. It explains a little bit about what Newsies are. So they were the boys who sold papers for larger publishers like Pulitzer and Hearst. So the larger newspaper publishers would print a bunch of papers and then sell them to people, and then those people would go and sell them.
People being Newsies. The Newsies had to buy the papers that they were going to sell at a set rate. This is important. This is a major plot point.
Big plot.
They would buy the newspapers from, like, I called it, like, the newspaper depot. It is essentially where the freshly printed newspapers would get delivered. The Newsies would get their papers. They would decide how many they were going to try and sell. Then they would, like, go out into the streets of New York. They had their own territories and try and sell their papers. And if they sold all their papers, they did a good job.
Yeah, but if they didn't, then they operated at a loss and they weren't able to buy as many papers the next day, and so it was just sort of a cycle.
And we get a sense that it's just, like, a lot of street rat, like, young
urchins!
Kids, and it's very disorganized. They don't have a leader.
So we start at the Newsy boarding house, and this old guy comes and gets them all up, and they all start fucking with each other and getting washed for the day. And the song is called Carrying the Banner. And just love a boys chorus. This whole musical is just boys chorus, and it's just a delight.
But it's a mixed bag of singing.
Oh yeah, no, the singing is questionable, but like when
Sometimes
they actually
it's
get
great.
into harmony,
Sometimes
it's really
harmony.
good.
Yeah, it's great.
It's the solos that I had questions.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sorry, I'm also eating a cupcake because my birthday's in 2 days. Haha.
We are introduced to a whole bunch of characters. We're introduced to, they call him Cowboy for the first 10 minutes. Yeah, but it's Christian Bale's character.
Jack Kelly.
Cowboy/Jack Kelly. We meet Crutchy, who is one of the newspaper boys who uses a crutch. We get a lot of harmonies, and it's a getting ready song for all these ragamuffins.
There's big dance in the street energy for this entire musical. The dancing in this sometimes is great, sometimes isn't.
But yeah, it's like a big getting ready song. We meet all the Newsies. Suddenly there's nuns. We learn that Christian Bale cannot dance.
No. Oh, sweetie.
And there's a lot of ensemble acting. Oh, Christian Bale cannot dance.
The ensemble acting in this is my biggest moment of joy, is just every person's face in the background. Like, don't even look at the main characters. They do not matter. Watch everyone else, except for Spot Conlon, whom I loved.
Oh, he's great. But that's Carrying the Banner, our opening number, setting the tone. And I can't even, like, it's a very lyric-heavy song. What's funny is, I can tell you, a lot of the lyrics changed from the movie to Broadway.
Oh, okay.
I watched this with subtitles. There were some lyrics that were new. There were some lyrics that are in Broadway that I have never understood, because they're all, like, there's multiple verses on top of each other. Yeah. I was just like, that's what they've been saying?
This whole time.
This whole time.
So, Christian Bale's doing his best with his dance moves. The dance ends. The Delancey brothers appear.
These are there were a couple moments of, like, gangsters. There are goons. They're gangster children
who work for
the
newspapers.
Bullies. Yeah, they work for the newspaper depot.
Yeah.
They got a little kid, and Christian Bale's character sticks up for them, and there's these two slightly better dressed boys watching the Delanceys chase Christian Bale, but he's able to get away.
There's a little bit of a fight, which is very silly. The fights in this movie were just a delight to watch. The song finishes, all of the boys are at the newspaper distributor. Jack Kelly goes to talk to a man called Weasel, who's running the depot that distributes the newspapers to the Newsies. And so Jack pays for 100 papes.
Never papers.
Never papers. Papes. And basically each boy has to pay for the papers that they're going to sell. And a tiny child who was a part of the pair that were...
The two slightly better dressed boys just kind of watching. One's younger, one's about
sort
Jack
of the same
Kelly's
age.
We should say Jack Kelly is 17.
Yes, this is just nothing but children, which leads to a lot of questions later on with what's-her-face.
Oh boy, Meta Larkin. Does it ever?
So the tiny kid comes and sits next to Jack Kelly. The nicer dressed kid goes to buy some papers.
The older kid, yeah. And Weasel shorts him. He buys 20 papers. Weasel only gives him 19.
Right.
Whose name is Wiesel, but all the kids call him Weasel.
Wesselton. Because Disney loves to joke with the name Weasel.
They do. Get a new joke, Disney.
Jeez, Disney.
He's like, are you calling me a liar? But Jack comes up and he's like, no, you gave him 19 papers. So he helps him. We learn that the older kid's name is David and his younger brother's name is Les.
Yeah, I think it's short for Leslie.
And Les is adorable. Les says he's 10, and Jack's like, all right, for everyone asks, you're 8.
Yeah.
and Jack says he wants to team up with Les because he's like, cute kids sell papers. And
yeah.
David's like a good big brother. He's like, whoa,
absolutely
where are you taking
not.
my brother? But David agrees after Jack negotiates that they'll get a 60-40 split.
Jack says, I am the best at what I do. And eventually Davy, his name is David, but he goes by Davy sometimes, he agrees.
And Jack teaches Davy, this is going to be a recurring bit for the next couple scenes, but Jack teaches David the kind of Newsy motto, which is that, like, headlines don't sell papers, Newsies sell papers. It doesn't matter what's in the newspapers, it's about how you sell them. We cut to a very fancy office.
To a big armchair and a man reading a very legible headline with a magnifying glass.
That is a recurring gripe for me. I'm like, you are reading the headline. The letters are like 4 inches tall with a magnifying glass.
This is Pulitzer. He talks about how the headlines are boring, there's not much going on in the news, and that Hearst's headlines are better.
For context, Pulitzer runs one of the newspapers. Hearst, who is not in this scene, is like a competitor who owns another newspaper. Pulitzer's paper is called the New York World, and Hearst is called the Sun or something else.
No, the Sun is someone else, but yes.
Okay. Pulitzer's complaining. He's like, these headlines suck.
Yeah.
Hearst has better headlines. Go steal his person that writes the headlines. And an advisor is like, he stole our headline writer.
The advisors also tell him that there's just no news right now, and he's spending as much as is coming in his battle with Hearst. So Pulitzer is like, I give you to tonight to come up with a plan for money. And so we cut back to Jack and Davy at a boxing match.
Jack is going through the crowd, Davy's trailing him, and Jack is just like making up stories to sell the papers.
He is clickbait because it sensationalizes the tiniest thing. So I think there was like a fire at a dock, and he's like, fire makes thousands flee.
Yeah, and David says like, hey, I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to lie about what's in the papers. And Jack says, it's not lying, it's improving the truth a little.
He's like, my father told me not to lie. And he says, well, mine told me not to starve, so.
Just then, an ominous man in black in the crowd sees Jack across the boxing ring and points to a cop, kind of like, over there. He's over there. David sees the ominous guy, and he's like, that guy's looking at you. Jack sees him looking at him, and he's like, fuck, beat it. It's the Bulls. Bulls are police in this world. And they run away through the boxing match.
And like through a building and up to a roof, they hide behind a wall, and the person yells, wait till I get you back into the refuge.
He says, Sullivan.
There we go.
Wait till I get you back in the refuge.
Yeah. They get to a secondary location, and Davy starts... Got you. Davy starts asking what the fuck is going on.
He's like, I'm not running anymore.
Going with you.
Awful. Yeah.
So apparently the refuge is a jail for kids. So this is like their version of juvie, except for it's like jail.
Jack tells Davy and Les that the guy chasing them, not the cop, but the ominous man in black, was Snyder, who is the warden of the refuge. It's called the refuge. And Jack tells him he was thrown in the refuge because he stole some food.
But he escaped by riding out on Teddy Roosevelt's carriage.
That's not what I was laughing at.
Oh no.
What is that line in Les Mis? Where he's like, I stole a loaf of bread.
You robbed a house, I broke a window pane.
Sorry, I just had that flashback.
So, Davy thinks that he's lying or everything, but it turns out the place that they're in is a theater.
Yes. This conversation has happened not on the street, but Jack has taken them backstage at a vaudeville theater.
Yes.
And a fancy lady comes backstage and starts to be like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, get out of here. But then she recognizes Jack.
Yes.
They know each other. He introduces this woman to Davy and Les as Miss Meda Larkin, the Swedish songbird. She's a vaudeville star.
Yeah, the Swedish accent part is fake.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about it until it comes back later. And she's kind of a sense of like, oh, any friend of Jack's is a friend of mine. And she lets them stay so they can avoid the cops outside. But she's like, well, I gotta go sing.
Yeah, she goes on stage and sings, and Davy and Les are just like mesmerized by her performance.
Heart eyes.
Oh boy, agog.
Have they ever seen a woman before?
Unclear. So after the show, Davey says that he loved seeing her. Like, it was so nice to, like, go and see a show, which, like, I get.
She sings the song My Lovey-Dovey Baby. It's not important. Does not move the plot forward.
Not at all. Jack says that he met her through his father and that his family is out west, and when they find a place in Santa Fe, they will send for him. And then they hear something, and they go running to see what it is.
Sirens! They run and they see a fire with... So we had learned this prior.
But we're bad at telling stories.
Oh, this was the headline that Pulitzer was like, this is boring.
Mm-hmm.
The trolley workers in New York City are on strike, and they're in their third week. So Jack, Les, and David run around the corner, and they see a fire, and they see... I thought it was police beating up trolley strikers, but I actually think it's trolley strikers beating up other trolley workers who aren't going on strike.
Scabbers. Yeah,
scabbers. And Jack wants to stay, and his blood gets pounding. He's like, I want to see the fight. And David's like, let's not.
Davey's like, absolutely not. I have a little brother. We should go.
David brings Les and Jack back to his house.
Yeah. So they cut back to Davey's place. He shows his dad all of the money that he made that day. His dad is in a sling right now. So it turns out that his dad had a job at the factory, but he got injured and the factory fired him. So that's why David is no longer at school. He's going out trying to make money for his family.
We meet David's father, his mother, and his sister, Sarah.
Ooh. Big eyes at each other.
And Jack just shamelessly flirts with Sarah.
Yeah.
As well as telling the parents that David and Les are like born Newsies.
Natural. Jack says they're really good at this, and with my experience and with their natural talent, we could sell like 1,000 papers a week, which is a lot, and even more if they have good headlines. And so there's this really stupid moment where Sarah's like, what makes a good headline? He's like, words like corpse, a love nest, a nude.
Oh, the accents.
The accents in this are so aggressive, Anna. Anna, they're so aggressive.
After dinner, Jack and David are like briefly hanging out on a fire escape outside the family's apartment, and Jack's kind of bummed that he doesn't have a nice family like David does.
Yeah.
David's father says to him, like, all right, it's time to come in, it's time for bed. So Jack leaves, and he starts to sing the song as he goes down the fire escape and out onto the street, the song Santa Fe, which is about his dreams of leaving New York and a life better than what he has. And listen,
poor Christian.
It's Jeremy Jordan in the Broadway. Jeremy Jordan sings this song so nicely.
So pretty. You know who doesn't sing this prettily?
Christian Bale. Okay, here's my thought on this, and we can talk about it later when we talk about singing in general. Christian Bale is... Actually, I don't know how old Jack Kelly's supposed to be. I know Christian Bale was 17 when he did this movie. So I'm assuming... I said that's erroneous. I said Jack Kelly was 17. Unclear how old Jack Kelly's supposed to be. Christian Bale was 17.
Yes.
Christian Bale can kind of sing. He's better than Russell Crowe in Les Mis, not saying much, but he's okay. I don't think he was very good at acting while singing.
That's fair.
Christian Bale can act, and he can sing-ish, but
doing them at the same time.
Yeah, all the good acting qualities that he has were completely absent whenever he was singing.
I agree with that.
Nothing was going on behind those eyes.
Felt like he was trying to remember the words.
Yeah. Definitely can't dance.
Oh, he has a dance break in the middle of this.
Very footloose.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, my emotions are too much and I must dance.
Gotta dance.
He's athletic. There's a lot of like flipping and backs jumping. Can you imagine Kenny Ortega having to deal with this?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Because Kenny Ortega directed and choreographed it.
So, anyway, he steals a horse. Steals a horse, rides it like 4 blocks, gets off, and is just like, all right, horse, off you go.
All right, as you were... This is New York City.
Yeah.
He just lets it
It'll
go,
be fine.
Like, up the Bowery.
Basically, this whole song is just, he
fully
is sort of idealizing the concept of Santa Fe.
It's an I Want song.
Yeah, it's his I Want song. He wants a family, and he wants to not be in New York.
We cut back to the next morning to Pulitzer.
So,
like, we need to make more money.
And so one of the advisors says, okay, so I thought of 2 options. One is to charge the Newsies more for the papers. And they were like, oh, I don't know about that. And he's like, well, option 2 is pay cuts for the bosses. And they're like, let's talk about option 1 again. One of the advisors thinks that this is a bad idea, Stites, who's like, seems to be the voice of reason that no one listens to.
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
He's not the mayor. The mayor is another character, right? Like, there's Jonathan and Stites as, like, advisors to Pulitzer.
Yes.
At one point later, when the mayor was involved, I was like, this is the same person. It's not.
No, it's a different person.
It's another old white man. But yeah, the other advisor says, like, well, if we charge the Newsies more for the papers, they're probably just going to go to Hertz's paper. Also, it'll be really tough on these kids. And Pulitzer's like, it'll build character. It'll make them work harder.
It'll see it as a challenge.
The next day, the Newsies are at the depot and they're like, this is bullshit.
Absolutely.
Like, the paper's been jacked up 10 cents each. Is that it?
I think it's like 0.10, so it's like 50 cents for 100, and so now it's like 60 cents for 100.
60 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
but like for inflation,
that's a
lot. This is what,
1899.
1899.
That's the one.
That's numbers.
So yeah, so it was a big price hike all at once.
Essentially, they're complaining they don't have any rights, and they kind of don't have any choice in the matter.
So they don't have a union. And so Jack is like, let me think about it. We should do something. And then he's like, what if we do a strike? No one sells until the price comes back down. And no one thinks that this is a good idea. And Davy says it's not possible, not unless we got like every newsie in New York. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. And so Jack is like, brilliant. We'll get every newsie in New York to refuse to sell. And Davy's like, whoa.
There's a little bit of circular logic in this. Davy's like, we don't have a union. We can't go on strike. If we go on strike, we're just a bunch of angry kids with no money. Jack's like, well, if we all go on strike, then we are a union. That's not how that works.
But okay.
Jack's idea is like, we're going to get all the Newsies involved. Quick side note.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 92. This is a Disney movie. There's not really any cursing.
Nah.
There's a shocking amount of violence. But what I'm most shocked about is there's so much child smoking in this movie.
Just like cigars everywhere.
And cigarettes and like young kids too. And I'm like, where were the anti-smoking campaigns in 1992? Was this just...
I don't think those started until late 90s.
Okay. And also I'm sure if anyone had been like, hey, we shouldn't depict that, someone else would have been like, it's historically accurate.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of children smoke in this.
Shocked at that.
So
the Newsies say to Jack essentially like, all right, you want to do this? Just tell us what to do. Jack's to David's like, tell me what do I do?
Yeah. So Davy sort of feeds Jack the lines of what to say because Davy has the ideas, but Jack has the bravado, he has the charisma, he's able to lead all of the...
David's the brains, Jack's the brawn.
Yeah.
And all the Newsies are crowded outside the newspaper depot at this point. They've walked out.
In like the town square.
Yeah, those town squares that we have in New York. And they're all like rallied around Jack and they're listening. And he's like standing on this statue making this speech as David feeds him the lines of what to say.
Yeah.
And this leads us into the strike song called The World Will Know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dancing.
Oh, man.
All I could think of during this, there has been some fantastic choreography, and like a lot of the ensemble members are good singers. You could hear them in the harmonies.
Hell yeah.
And good dancers. Like there are some good teen dancers, boy dancers in this. For this song, it felt very high school choreography because they were all in rows. I was like, that works on stage. I can see like 40 feet in either direction on this set. You're just in like a
You're not filling the space.
You're not filling the space. Use the space.
Artful clumps.
But yeah, and the song ends. So outside the newspaper depot, there's this big black billboard where like the news of the day is written essentially. And Jack climbs up the ladder and he writes strike over all the headlines of the day in chalk. Some adults walk by and they're like,
and one of them is Bill Pullman, Mr. President. So
I forgot that was when yeah, you're right. That's when he first comes in.
Yeah. So Jack comes back down. He starts splitting up all the boys to go to the other neighborhoods to convince Newsies all around New York to not sell. And no one wants to go to Brooklyn. No one wants to go to Brooklyn because there's Spot Conlon.
There's this notorious child newsie.
Oh, yes.
Spot Conlon. and everyone's quaking in their boots because Spot Conlon's a badass.
Yeah, I'll talk about him when we get to him.
Jack's like, all right, I'm going to bring Les, and I'm going to bring Boots.
Yeah, and Davy. Davy goes too.
Yeah, but first...
First, Davy reminds him that he has to go and tell Pulitzer their demands. So they can't just strike if the guy doesn't know what they want.
Yeah, so first, Jack goes inside. Somehow we went from the newspaper depot to Pulitzer's office.
I think it's one and the same. I think it's like Pulitzer's office and then the depot down at the bottom.
Oh, you're right. Anyway, so Jack goes inside and he brings Les with him. He's like, the cute kid will work.
It'll
and
be fine.
This reporter from the New York Sun walks up to David and he starts talking to him. He's like, what's going on? And he introduces himself. His name is Brian. It's Bill Pullman.
Yeah, Mr. President.
And David explains to the reporter, like, hey, this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. Just then, Jack and Les are thrown out on their ear and are kind of reprimanded, being like, you can't see him without an appointment, which, fair. But
cut to a diner.
Mr. Denton, the reporter, has taken
all of these boys.
A lot of the Newsies to lunch.
Yeah, good for him. He has money, apparently. So Jack is sort of telling what happened, and Denton is intrigued and is just like, I think that this could be an interesting story. Please keep me informed. And David is like, well, do you think this is actually important, like what we're doing? And Denton is like, that's entirely up to what you guys do.
Mm-hmm. Cut to Brooklyn.
Cut to Brooklyn.
Jack, David, Boots, and Les going to Brooklyn, and we're in like the docks. I'm assuming they're in like Red Hook or something. And we meet Spot Conlon, who is a small child gangster,
but very intense
and a very good actor.
Yeah, no, he knows exactly what movie he's in, and he is playing it to perfection.
Do you know what famous cartoon character he voiced?
Yes, it was one of my fun facts.
Okay, all right, I won't spoil it. I will save it for later. Because I looked him up, I was like, what else has this kid done?
Yeah.
Do kids just run this city?
Obviously.
Like the power that Spot Conlon has.
I know.
Jack tells David to tell Spot about the strike. In Jack's phrasing, like, Jack's not so good with the words. David's good with the words.
He's the mouth with half a brain. And so David starts to try and sweet talk Spot, basically saying, listen, we know that you're the most famous newsie, and if you join, everyone else will join, and we can't do it without you and all of that.
All the other newsies are waiting to see what Spot does.
Yeah. And Spot seems sort of half convinced, but he's like, listen, I need to know that you're not going to run the first time that someone hits you, or the first time that, like, the police come or shit goes down.
Very fair.
Fair enough. He won't take their word for it. He's like, no, you're going to have to show me.
Side note, why does this 13-year-old have a cane?
For effect.
But so yeah, Spot says, like, you know what, I want to trust you, but like words aren't good enough. You're gonna have to show me. So the Newsies go back to Manhattan and they're nervous. Like, we don't technically have Spot support yet.
Yeah.
Like, what are we can't do this without him.
Yeah.
And David, so some of the songs in this movie come about very organically.
Yeah.
The song that's coming up just kind
out of nowhere
starts, and it felt very forced.
Yeah.
David just starts wandering around the Newsies that are milling in that like general town square, and he starts singing this inspiring song called Seize the Day. It's a great song. The song comes from no point of conflict, which bothered me.
I guess the biggest conflict that I could make up if I had to is that the boys are starting to give up, and Davy for some reason is like, absolutely not.
They've met one thing of resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Which is ridiculous. Anyway, so he sings Seize the Day. I think he has a good voice. This eventually ends up convincing all the boys. There's a lot of flippy dancing.
A lot of acrobatics in this.
A lot of acrobatics.
Song. The thing that this song culminates in is that for some reason I thought like Newsies got their papers in the morning and then they like spent all day, but it feels very like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, because what happens is that there's the morning edition and then there's the afternoon edition. Now the morning edition is sold by different group of people.
Look at you with your historical context.
And then, but because it was the afternoon and a lot of grown-ups were at, work or whatever, the children were responsible for selling the afternoon edition.
So the Newsies that are on strike are out in the little space in front of the depot, and they see the Newsies that haven't joined the strike going to get the afternoon edition, and there's this standoff, and they call the Newsies that are selling the papers scabs because they haven't joined, and it just ultimately culminates in violence and like punching the papers out of one kid's hands.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. They were outside. Now they have gone inside the depot.
It's like a little courtyard depot.
And it just becomes a brawl.
Yeah. And Weasel's in his office. He sees this and he calls someone. And surprise, get the paddy wagon. The entire cops arrive.
Meanwhile, the striking Newsies are throwing newspapers everywhere, and they're throwing tomatoes. They overturn a cart. This is destruction of property.
Yes,
this
absolutely.
Is gone beyond. I kept thinking Wiesel/Weasel was Harvey Fierstein, maybe because I had Bill Pullman on my mind. They don't sound the same, but they have like similar facial
Harvey
features.
Fierstein was in the 2011 Broadway one, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
I think he had something to do with it. The show has music by Alan Menken, lyrics by Jack Feldman, and a book by Harvey Fierstein.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No. So he wrote the Broadway musical. Maybe it's a different Harvey Fierstein.
It's not.
No, it's him.
It's not. It's the same. I'm shocked. I almost didn't bring that up because, like, it's not even like that big of a connection, but it is.
It is.
Anyway, get the paddy wagon. The police show up and the Newsies
Everyone scatters, but Crutchy can't get out of there fast enough, and so the Delancey brothers, I can't say brothers, it's brothers. And so they drag Crutchy off, and Bill Pullman sees
beat
this.
the shit out of Crutchy, and Denton sees this. Cut to that evening, Jack and David sneak to the refuge, because Crutchy was taken to the refuge. It's a rescue mission. They sneak in. Unclear the plan.
It doesn't seem like there's actually a way to get him out. Anyway.
They sneak onto the roof. Jack ties the rope around his waist, and David, like, lowers him down, and Jack talks to Crutchy through the window.
Wild. So it's a bunch of boys in their rough conditions.
Yeah.
They get Crutchy to the window, and they tell him, we're going to get you out of here. Crutchy says that he can't walk even worse than normal because he got beat up by the Delanceys. Suddenly, the warden appears. Dun, dun, dun. Jack hides, and the
swings
boys
out of the way.
Swings to the other window, and the boys all scramble to sort of look asleep. The warden's about to go to the window, but Crutchy distracts him and sort of leads him away, so Jack is able to escape.
Yeah, but they're not able to break Crutchy out. Cut to Pulitzer's office. Weasel is in Pulitzer's office. And Pulitzer knows about the strike. He wants the Newsies dealt with. And Weasel says, he's like, I can handle them if I'm given what I need. And Seitz, our moral compass of Pulitzer's office, starts to protest, but Pulitzer's just like, shut up, I'm the boss.
Yeah, exactly. So cut to outside, we have a bunch of Newsies singing a choral version of Seize the Day. It's very pretty.
Please, yeah.
And then we get this elbow-heavy dance. It's a lot of elbows.
Another dance break where Christian Bale just doing his best.
Tries so hard.
More scabbing Newsies appear with the afternoon edition.
Yes.
David, ever the voice of reason, is like, let's remain calm.
Everyone chill.
And Jack's like, let's soak 'em for Crutchy. And they just start to beat each other up, and suddenly...
Well, they chase them into the depot area.
Yes.
So, like, normally there's a bunch of gates that open, and then the boys come in, and that's where they buy their papers. And so, you know, all of the scabbers are there, and so the Newsies chase them into the depot area, and surprise, the gates shut behind them. And another door opens, and it reveals a bunch of adults. Grown-ass adults.
I thought
with
they
clubs
were gangsters.
and chains.
They're not. They're just, they're like adult muscle that come in. The Newsies are locked in. Somehow Denton is in there. Denton got like swept in with the crowd.
Unclear.
Or no, Denton tries to get in there, but someone stops him.
Yeah, he's outside the gate and he's trying to go, and he has his camera with him, the old-timey camera. And the police officer on a horse is just like, move along.
And the Newsies get beaten up. Jack especially gets beaten up. But just then, Outer Borough Newsies on the rooftops with slingshots.
Never fear. Brooklyn is here.
Oh, this makes me want to listen to the Broadway soundtrack. And these children with slingshots beat up this hired muscle. And there's like a great montage.
In classic Disney fashion, the children are beating the shit out of adults.
Yeah, and Spot's Newsies are able to open the gates and just like more Newsies pour in.
A bunch of Brooklyn adults? I thought that they were adults too.
No, they're
coming to fight the other adults.
They're Brooklyn Newsies, but they show up with bats.
Yeah, they do.
And they beat the shit out of the hired muscle.
Yep.
Denton's able to get inside, as the Newsies turn the tide and win this scuffle, and he's like, Jack, turn around, and he takes this picture.
Everyone stay still.
Yeah. And he takes this picture of a bunch of Newsies. Jack is in the center, and the next thing we see, it's on the front page of the New York Sun with the headline, The Children's Crusade, Newsies Stop the World. Great headline.
Yeah. Such a great headline. Cut back to the diner. Denton is bringing the newspaper with their picture on the front page, and all the Newsies crowd around to see, and they start to sing the song.
Not all of them can read.
Not all of them can read, but one of them starts to sing King of New York.
Yeah, because they're fantasizing about, like, oh, I'm famous now, and, you know, when you're famous, you can get whatever you want. It's another I Want song of, like, what they would get and what they would do if they were famous, and Denton joins in.
He does sing! Oh, wow. Bill.
Yeah, and this was a moment of joy. There's a very brief, like, tap dance on diner tables.
There was. I loved
and
that.
Then the real true moment was consistent theme. There was a poor waiter just trying to do his job in this diner. And there's just children dancing on the table.
I did ask at one point, who owns this diner?
This poor waiter is just trying
boy.
to do
like, I thought you wanted a sandwich. Do you not want a sandwich? I can send this back to the kitchen.
Anyway.
The song ends, and they talk about how now they have to figure out how to stay in the papers and get others to talk about what they're doing, because so far the only paper that's talking about it is Denton's paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jack says, well, what if we hold a rally with all of the kids in New York? And they're like, okay,
we should do something so big that the other papers can't ignore us. Cut to the refuge. Crutchy has to serve Snyder his dinner, so he brings it in on like a silver platter.
Or he's coming to collect his dinner.
Yeah. He sees Snyder is reading the New York Sun with the photo, and Sweet Crutchy's like, oh, that's Jack. He looks so good.
Great.
And Snyder's like, you know this boy?
Boom, boom, boom.
Crutchy's like, I didn't say that. Nope.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Snyder wants to know where Jack is.
Right. Because, again, Jack has escaped from the refuge, and the warden is the guy who was trying to catch him earlier.
Snyder turns up at the newsboys' boarding house where we first saw Jack, and he says to the old man that runs the place, he's like, I'm here to see Jack Kelly. But the owner and all the other boys cover for Jack, and Jack's able to sneak out behind Snyder. He makes kind of fun of him silently, and he's able to not get caught there.
Yeah. Cut to Sarah, who we haven't seen in like an hour. Where has she been?
Sleeping, and she wakes up and she finds Jack has slept overnight on the fire escape outside Davy's apartment because the boarding house wasn't safe. Beep boop bop logistics. The window, I understand we didn't have air conditioning. It's New York. Yeah. The window was entirely open. You can't sleep with your window open if your apartment has a fire escape. That's so dangerous. So easily murdered.
That's very true. Lock your windows, y'all. Anyway.
She tells Jack to go up to the roof and meet her there.
Yeah. She meets him up there.
She makes him breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. She has food. It is a nice view up there, though, because there's not a lot of skyscrapers, so they're sort of at the highest point, and so you get this really lovely view. She mentions that her dad is really proud of what he and David are doing, and he says that he can't wait for it to be over because he wants to go to Santa Fe, and she honestly looks a little bit disappointed. And so he says, you know, I'm not used to anyone caring if I stay or if I go, and I'm not saying it matters to you, but does it matter to you? Anna's furious. Tell me why.
The entire boarding house just covered for you, you selfish boy. What do you mean you're not used to people caring about you? They just
literally every person that you know cares that you're there.
Oh my god. It made me so angry. Anyway.
So we cut to Pulitzer.
Yeah, we're back in Pulitzer's office. The mayor is there now with the police chief, and he says, like, I understand, to Pulitzer, he goes, like, I understand your frustration with the Newsies, but, like, we can't go in and break out the strike with no legal cause. Like, they haven't done anything wrong. And Pulitzer says, like, what if I told you the strike is organized by a criminal? And the police chief's like, well then, yeah, it would totally give you legal cause to arrest him.
And the mayor is like, okay, we can get this done quietly. And Pulitzer is like, absolutely not. This should be at the rally that they're holding. This should be loud. This should be clear.
He wants Jack to be made an example of.
Yeah, exactly. And the mayor is sort of hesitant, but then Pulitzer is like, listen, I'm holding a cards game with a bunch of other newspapermen, all these other moguls. Your election is coming up. Why don't you come and join us?
Extortion.
Bribing. Cut to the theater.
Yeah, Meta Larkin's theater. Jack is holding the rally for every single newsie in New York City there. And Jack invites David up on stage, because again, Jack's not so good with the words.
Spot is also there.
Yeah, David says, like, we have to be smarter, and we need to not always answer with violence, and we need to band together.
And Spot's like, absolutely not. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of anyone that I want to.
Yeah. And then Meta Larkin gives a performance of the song High Times, Hard Times. Now she has a Swedish accent. She did not before.
Yeah, I don't know.
A weird moment for
there's flirting with children. I don't know.
Yeah, this woman is probably
grown-ass adult,
maybe older. The way she interacts with some
kind of flirting with Jack. Yeah, not great.
Snyder and his hired muscle sneak into the theater
in the back of the
and
house.
they watch a little bit of the performance, and then they just fully break up the rally.
First, before that happens, Snyder's sort of sneaking around, and Denton is there sort of with his camera to sort of check everything, and he sees Snyder, and so he says his name super loudly. He's like, oh, are you Warden Snyder, the one who runs the refuge? And and Davy hears this and tells Spot, and then runs to go tell Jack, who's dancing with Meta. Again, weird relationship there.
But before that, Sarah's there.
Oh, right. Jack is there on a date with Sarah, and there's some weird sexual tension eye contact that Jack fully bails on.
Oh, he fully bails. So there's a moment where she looks like she's about to lean in and kiss him, and Jack's like, I'm gonna go see Meta, and he leaves and goes to dance with Meta. Yeah. That whole thing happens with Denton being like, hello, Warden Snyder. Jack sees Snyder and tries to escape, but just then the police show up and just start paunching children. Just beating the shit out of children.
Assault.
Yeah.
And there's this whole sequence of Jack and Davy trying to escape, and all of these other kids helping, and adults beating up children, and Meta steps in at one point.
People doing things for Jack because they care about him.
They care so much.
Ultimately, it culminates in Jack, running up some stairs, getting caught at the top of the stairs, fully paunched down the stairs.
Yeah, and caught by police.
We fade slow-mo into the courtroom. Jack's not there, but all the other newsies are.
Yeah, this is a funny scene. I enjoyed them interacting with the law.
Yeah, just trying to talk their way out of it. But all the newsies end up getting fined either $5 or 2 weeks to the refuge. Denton pops in. He's like, I will pay all of their fines. I got this, and meet me at the restaurant. Just then, Jack comes in, accompanied by a policeman. We learn that none of the papers covered the rally.
Yeah, not even Denton's paper.
Jack is brought before the judge, and Snyder says he'll speak for Jack. Snyder is not a lawyer.
I don't understand law in 1899. I don't know if they understand law.
I don't understand
in 1899.
Law, period, but I'm pretty sure the prosecutor cannot represent the defendant. Speak for
There was a moment where the judge turns to all of the newsies and they're like, do you have representation? And they're like, no. And he's like, that's fine. This will go faster then. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Anyway, Jack is brought before the judge. Snyder tells the judge that this kid's calling himself Jack Kelly. His real name is Francis Sullivan. His mother's dead. His dad's in jail. And he has escaped from the House of Refuge. And he lists, he was supposed to be there for 3 months, but then he was caught stealing, and then it was extended to 6 months, and then 9 months, and he escaped. And Jack is ordered by the judge to go back to the refuge until he is 21 years old.
Yes.
Which sucks.
Awful. Super bad. 0 out of 10 would recommend. Cut to the diner. Denton is there with all the newsies. He says that he's been reassigned to be a war correspondent so he wasn't fired for trying to cover this thing, but he's been reassigned to leave the country.
Because the owners of these newspapers don't want this rally reported, and in Denton's because it'd be bad for them.
Right.
And Denton says, like, if they don't want it reported, then it never happened. The only reason
no one knows.
And he's been reassigned to his old job as a war correspondent, and the Newsies give him a hard time. He's like, look, if I don't take this job, I will be blackballed from every single paper in this country. Right. The owner of the Sun says I should only cover the quote-unquote really important stories.
Right.
But Denton did write an article about the Newsy rally, and he gives it to David, so he can read it at least.
And he pays the bill, and then
pays the bill.
So then Davy, crumples up the article and throws it away onto the table, and he says, "We're gonna get Jack out tonight. We don't trust anyone but the Newsies." Les
saves the article by, like, he had a hot dog at the restaurant.
It's like a very large pig in a blanket.
Save this for later. And he just wraps his hot dog for later in this article.
Yeah, and then they all run out. Cut to the refuge.
The Newsies, it's nighttime. The Newsies go to the refuge, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to sneak in, but then they see Jack being escorted out of the refuge, being put into a carriage, and he's taken to Pulitzer's mansion. Only David is able, it like tails this carriage. Jack is brought into Pulitzer's mansion, and when no one is looking, David sneaks out and, like, unpins the connection between the horse and the carriage, and this is important for later.
Yes.
Inside,
Pulitzer
meets with Jack.
Yes, and he offers him a bribe, essentially. It's like, if you work for me, we also get a little bit of backstory, but it's not really important. The essential is, like, if you work for me, and you help me sort of end the strike, then I will make sure that you do not go back to the refuge. I'll give you a bunch of money, and...
like, more money than you could ever earn.
In 3 lifetimes.
Selling newspapers.
Also, we should say Pulitzer is Robert Duvall.
What accent is Robert Duvall doing?
I do not know.
There are some wild character choices.
There are some pauses in sentences, and some choices were made, strong but wrong. I don't know.
I'm guilty of pauses and sentences, but, like, there's a lot of hand acting. Yeah. Anyway.
It's a lot. Anyway.
Pulitzer also threatens to have David and, like, every single other newsie that opposes him thrown in the refuge. Yes.
He tells, Jack is, like, originally wasn't buying it, but then he gets threats against his friends, and he's just like, oh, I don't know. And so Pulitzer is like, okay, I need your answer in the morning. And so as they walk out, Davy is there and just is like, run! And so somehow that's enough for him to
Jack
escape.
Escapes. Well, because otherwise he's going back to the refuge.
No, I know, but it was just like, that's all you needed was someone to yell run, and you were able to escape. Feels like you could have done that yourself, my man.
But they got a head start. There's, like, the surprise aspect to it. One of the hired muscle of Pulitzer, like, leaps onto the horse to chase him in the carriage, but, like, oh, the horse isn't attached to the carriage. So they're able to escape.
Yeah. So they get to this alley, cut to this alley. Jack is there and he's like, you shouldn't have come to get me out of jail. They're going to throw you in jail. You have to think about your family, and you should just get out of there. Big White Fang energy. Like, get out of here, Davy! And so Davy is like, big hurt, tries to stay. He's like, no! And then
he's like, no!
Jack yells back, go! It was a rhyme. I loved it.
It's a lot of teen angst.
So much angst. So he runs off. Anyway. Suddenly, Jack's back in the refuge somehow.
Back in the refuge. Jack went.
Did he go back himself?
Back to the refuge, and he sings the Santa Fe reprise to himself. And the gist is, like, he's seriously considering Pulitzer's offer. Crutchy visits him.
Well, he gives him some food, and then there's just, like, this one interaction where Crutchy is like you always say, you can't let him beat you. And Jack is like, we were beat when we were born.
Next day. Yes. We're back at the Newsies strike outside the depot. Some Newsies have crossed the picket line, but, like, all the other Newsies are holding strong. Mm-hmm. And then, gasp, Spot Conlon sees amongst the scabbing Newsies Jack in, like, nicer clothes than he's ever owned, coming from Pulitzer's office with newspapers.
And Weasel is there.
With Wiesel holding him, holding his arm. And Jack has broken the strike. Jack has taken Pulitzer's deal. Right. And none of the Newsies know it, and they're all super upset. They call him a scabber. David looks disgusted.
Yeah. For some reason, the police let Dave through to talk to Jack. Don't know why.
And David confronts Jack. And he confronts him. He calls him a liar. And Jack's like, I can't afford to be a kid anymore.
Like, I don't have a family looking out for me like you do. So I have to be smart and actually, like, look out for myself. And, you know, Davy calls him a fraud. He's like, they weren't even your words. You were just speaking my words. And Jack was like, well, you didn't have the guts to say them yourself.
And David gets so upset he tries to attack Jack, but he's pushed off by the cops.
Yeah.
We cut to David's house. Sarah is home. She finds the hot dog. She finds Les
in, like, a
hot
drawer.
Dog. Yeah, and she finds the article, and she's like, oh my God, like, this is the article.
This is an important article.
David storms out of the fire escape because he doesn't want to hear it.
Next.
Cut to
Jack in a basement.
So because Jack took the deal, he's out of the refuge, but he doesn't go back to the newsboy house because he essentially betrayed them all.
Yeah.
So he's staying in Weisel's basement.
Yeah, so it's like the basement of the printing depot.
Yeah, the depot. And he's staying there, and it's dusty and it's cobwebby.
There's a lot of junk down there, and Weisel says, you know, one trick and I will go straight to Pulitzer.
It's like a storeroom. It's not a bedroom. It's like
storage for old stuff.
Cut to the next day upstairs at the depot. It's newspaper pickup time. Jack goes upstairs. He gets his morning papers. The
Papes.
Delancey brothers are there.
Delancey brothers. And so they say that they're gonna go and beat up Davy till he can't walk.
And Jack, like, starts to fight them back, and Weisel's like, you lift one finger, it's back to the refuge.
Yeah. And
we're
cut
then on
to
the street.
On the street,
yeah.
Sarah and Les are walking down the street, and the Delanceys sort of intercept and ask where Dave is, and they start pushing her around. Les tries to stop them, but they turn on him and sort of throw him into a bunch of cans.
Mm-hmm.
And they pull Sarah into an alley. Not great.
David shows up. He finds Les, and he starts to fight off the Delancey brothers, but they beat him up. Mm-hmm. One of them starts to put on iron knuckles. Sarah is useless. Yeah. Sarah has been thrown to the ground and is just, like, comforting Les. Jack happens to walk by.
And he hears Sarah screaming.
Yeah, split-second decision. Drops his newspapers to the ground, runs into the alley, and saves the day. He fights off the Delancey brothers.
Punch!
He saves David, and the Delancey brothers are like, we're gonna report you to Weisel, as they tail it out of the alley.
Jack says, you know, I can't be something that I ain't. And Davey asks, a scab? He's like, nah, smart.
Smart.
Cut to Bill Pullman's house. Mr. President.
Yeah. David, Jack, Sarah, and Les show up at Denton's apartment with the article. He's
how
like,
they know where he lives.
Leave.
Again.
Why he's still in town?
Consistent
Unclear.
theme of just, how do people know where everyone lives?
Don't pull at the threads of this very shaky sweater. But they ask Denton, like, did you mean what you wrote?
Because Jack has the article that Sarah gave him.
And Denton says, yeah, this city thrives on child labor. Other industries are scared that if the Newsies strike, it'll spread to other industries. Other kids will strike. So that's why it's been so such a suppressed story.
Yeah.
And Denton tells him, like, you know, all it takes is one voice
to
above
turn
the
into
crowd
100.
to make a difference. Yeah.
And so Jack says, well, what if it's not just the Newsies that we get, but we get all the sweatshop kids too? Basically, every child that's working child labor, if we get them all together, then they'll have to listen. But we have no way of getting out the word. We don't have a paper that will print it. So they're like, we'll make our own. And then they all just sort of slow turn to Denton.
David gives Denton a hard time about being, like, going back to war corresponding. And all right, he joins their cause.
Yeah.
He says, what we need is a printing press. And Jack's like, I know where to get one of those.
Aha.
Cut to Weisel's basement. There's an old printing, like we said, it was a storage room.
Yeah.
There's an old printing press in Weisel's basement where he was living.
Like,
Sarah's
super
like,
old school.
You live here?
Yeah, I know. Sarah's like, oh, let me rethink this crush.
And the song Once and For All starts to play with Denton.
Yes.
Denton sings.
Yeah.
The printing press works. They start printing, and, like, I love this song Once and For All. It's like a great slow build. I do have a gripe, though.
Tell me.
So at one point early in the song, Jack said before the song starts, as they go down the stairs, because Jack sneaks
they gotta be quiet.
David, Sarah, Les, and Denton into the basement. He's like, we gotta be quiet or Weasel's gonna hear us. They then proceed to work. A printing press is not quiet.
No, that's a loud piece of machinery.
There's like a foot pedal and wheels. Like, that is not a sneaky piece of machinery. But I guess Weasel sleeps like the dead.
Yeah, or he sleeps somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe. But Why would it matter then if they were quiet?
Unclear.
It's night.
Anna, do not pull at these sweaters.
It doesn't matter because next morning they are all on the streets handing out what they've called the Newsies banner newspaper.
Yes, it's basically just one page. It's like a leaflet flyer.
It's like a flyer.
Yeah,
to call it a newspaper is a stretch.
They are handing them out. All of the Newsies are going around handing it out. Like, any kid that they see, they're like, "Can you read?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they hand
Great,
them
read this. Another gripe.
Yes.
Paper is not cheap.
Yeah, where did they get the paper?
Where did they get all this paper? Two,
Storage.
I liked the parts where they were like, yeah, like I'm assuming there was paper in the storage basement that Jack has been living in.
Yeah.
I liked when they were going around and handing the papers to different workers. I did not like when a couple people were just throwing them from the
in
rooftops.
the air. It felt very
In the
Regina
air,
George, just like whoosh.
Yeah, it was a really cool shot. Totally wasteful, and
Useless.
I guarantee all of those just got like immediately stuck in the mud or like run over.
Into a tree. Cut to Denton. He's chatting with Governor Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, he is in Roosevelt's office. He has given Roosevelt the Newsies banner.
Yeah.
And
somehow Denton knows Teddy Roosevelt? That was probably talked about, but I do not remember.
Yeah, that was a plot point earlier. It wasn't important, but
No.
Denton has brought the news to the governor. Roosevelt is understandably very upset for these kids. He feels like he's failed them.
Yep.
One thing that we haven't really talked about is that the refuge is lauded as this like great place for kids, like a rehabilitation place, but like when in actuality it is
a jail.
Awful. And the owner, Snyder, gets paid for how many kids are in the refuge. So the more kids that are locked up in the refuge, the more money Snyder gets, and the more he pockets, where the kids are living on like dust bunnies and like breadcrumbs.
Yes, absolutely. Whenever Teddy Roosevelt went to go view the refuge, it was sort of, he was tricked into thinking that it was okay, and that was whenever Jack also snuck out. Yeah.
But so Roosevelt is like, I can't believe I failed these kids.
I gotta help them.
Cut to the depot, the square. Jack is back in the square across from the depot, and there's not a lot of Newsies around. He has very little hopes that like other kids are gonna join in, like all the other not Newsy kids are gonna join.
Yeah. And they're all starting to lose hope, and so Les starts to sing the reprise of "The World Will Know."
Will know.
And, you know, they start to, like, slowly sing one by one, and then suddenly a huge crowd comes. I wanted this reprise to go on longer with the bigger chorus. It was like, it started with just, like, one or two voices, and then all of the kids came in, and I was like, this is an amazing chorus, and then it just stops, and I was like, no, give me another verse.
From every direction, the loud voices of angry children, and it's just a stampede of striking child workers. We cut,
including Spot, who just yells, "Brooklyn!" It's the only thing he ever says, and it's very funny.
We cut upstairs. Pulitzer's office looks out over this square, and Pulitzer's in his office. Jonathan, one of the aides, comes in. He's like, everyone's on the phone. Everyone's blaming Pulitzer for the strike. The city is at a standstill because all of these child workers have walked off. And Jack and David have just fully walked into Pulitzer's office at this point.
Yeah. Jack and David go to talk to Pulitzer, and Pulitzer says, you know, I don't understand, Jack, why you didn't take my deal. Anyone who doesn't
he's very condescending.
He's like, anyone who doesn't act in his own self-interest is a fool. Capitalism. And and Davy says, well, that doesn't make any sense because you are actively losing money by not discussing this with us. Your profits are down by 70%, so you're not acting in your own self-interest if all you care about is money. And Jack's like, he doesn't care about money, he cares about power.
Yeah, and Pulitzer won't give in because that means giving the Newsies power.
Yes.
And then there's this weird bit where like Jack opens the doors to Pulitzer's. There's like a balcony outside, and like he's like, look at all the kids down there. Like that's real power.
Right.
And Pulitzer can't handle loud noises. It's like very overwhelming for him.
Yeah. Well, so because Pulitzer says, you know, I've called the police. They're here. And Jack is like, you can arrest me, but look outside. And that's when he opens the windows. This isn't going to stop. There are too many people here. There's too much going on. There's like, you could arrest me, but there's too many of us. This isn't gonna stop, and like, can't handle the noise, etc.
He gets very overwhelmed by like, he's like, stop yelling at the crowd below. The next thing we see, Jack and David walk out of Pulitzer's office, And they say to the crowd, they're like, we got it. Like, we won.
beat
I
them,
guess Pulitzer
but with
gave...
no
Yeah.
details. And so we don't know.
I guess Pulitzer gave into the demands.
I don't know.
Just
Yeah.
then, the police arrive. And
The police arrive.
But Denton's there, and he's like, Jack, you don't have to run. Snyder is riding up front. It's very akin to, like, the child catcher's wagon from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of kids in the back of this paddy wagon. And Jack and Denton watch, and all the other child workers watch as, I'm assuming every single child from the refuge was
free?
in this truck. And,
Unclear.
like, is released. And then Snyder is put in the back of the truck in
the last one to
and
come
the last
out
one
is
Crutchy.
Crutchy. Yeah, and so Crutchy's the one who gets to shut the door on the warden in the paddy wagon. There's a big cheer.
And Crutchy tells Jack that, like, Roosevelt heard about the kids stuck in the refuge. Just then, Roosevelt pulls up.
Yeah, he's there. Denton talks to Jack. He's like, Roosevelt was very impressed with what you've done, and he's offered to give you a ride to anywhere you need to go. And so Jack is like, oh, can I go to the train yards? And all the Newsies are kind of taken aback by his willingness to still leave after this huge win. And so Jack gets in the carriage with Roosevelt and leaves. And there's a shot of Sarah, Les, and Dave just, like, big sad.
Les is crying.
Yeah.
Jack, how could you? All the Newsies are confused, but, like, they won.
Yeah.
So it's very conflicted feelings. We get a reprise of... I think it's like the
song.
same. It's immediately after this. We get a reprise of Carrying the Banner.
Yeah.
The Newsies go into the depot having won. Now that they've, like, won with their demands, like, they're going back to work.
Yeah.
So they go in and they get their papers, but they're queuing up, but they're sad that Jack is gone.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of development. David, who only got 20 papers at the top of the movie, buys 100 papers because he's more confident in his ability as a newsie. Just then, from behind,
we
back
hear
in the square, cheering.
Huzzah!
Jack is back.
Jack is back. Turns out that Teddy Roosevelt was like, you have more work that you could do here, so you should stay. And so Jack agrees, and so he stays, and Davy's super excited and, quotes back to him the line of, like, oh, headlines don't sell papes.
Don't sell papes.
And Sarah comes pushing through, big kiss.
Oh, big, just making out with Jack in front of everyone.
In front of her brother.
We said Roosevelt gives Spot a ride.
I know, I saw that too! Teddy Roosevelt leaves and Spot's in his carriage, and I'm like, that is a dynamic that I would love to watch. I want to see a movie about that carriage ride.
And everyone walks out of the newspaper depot dancing, and
big
we
dance.
get a big ensemble dance number for the credits.
Yeah.
And that's Newsies.
That is Newsies.
2 hours and 5 minutes?
Something like that.
Grace!
Wow.
You knew nothing about this movie.
I knew nothing about
What
this
did you
except
think?
for bare minimum. I think that the historical concept is a great concept, and turning it into a musical is just a delight. I'm all down for history being told through the lens of musicals. I wanted better dancing, and I think it's because I have seen, like, 1 or 2 clips of the Broadway version of dancing, which is just, like, high fucking quality dancing. And so whenever I was watching this, I think I was expecting it to be better dancing. Even though the dance was good, it's just that I had, the Broadway dancers version and like, idealized version in my head, and so that wasn't what this was. What did you think?
I'm glad I knew that there were going to be differences, because I think I would have been like, wait a second, that's not... So it was nice to be able to... I mean, again, I've never actually seen the Broadway musical, but I've listened to... I understand the plot, I understand the differences, I know the soundtrack very well, and I've seen clips. So there were changes that were made that I was like, okay, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
From the movie to the musical, like, Denton isn't a character,
Oh.
Sarah's gone. They've kind of, like, melded those 2 characters together, and it's like a young female reporter, and that's the love interest. But pretty much all the other characters are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that it was a true musical. I'm glad I didn't have high hopes about Christian Bale coming.
Oh, sweet pea.
Shall we dive into some dramaturgy?
Let's do that.
I want to hear all about casting. Dramaturgy report. Dramaturgy report. This was directed by our good friend Kenneth Ortega,
Kenneth!
who we discussed in our High School Musical episode.
Yes.
He's a director and choreographer, so for this film, he directed and choreographed it. He co-choreographed it with a woman named Peggy Holmes, but he's known for directing Newsies, Hocus Pocus, High School Musical. He also choreographed the films Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Dirty Dancing.
Love it.
Not much about the cinematographer. The cinematographer was Andrew Laszlo. He was a Hungarian-American cinematographer, best known for his work on the cult film classic The Warriors.
Yeah.
Had a big life outside of the film industry.
Cool. This was written by a husband and wife writing team, Robert Zudiker, Tzud, Zudiker, something like that, and his wife, Noni White. This was based on the real-life newsboy strike of 1988. Now, they wrote for
1988?
Disney... Sorry, 1899. My brain reversed
There
them.
we go.
So he wrote for a lot of Disney stuff. So Tarzan, Hunchback, 102 Dalmatians, Anastasia, and he also contributed to The Lion King and has written screenplays for like every major studio. So he's like a big...
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the screenplay itself, they approached it as a non-musical drama to start. However, the Disney studio head at the time redirected the project and it ended up becoming a musical. Now I'm going to talk just a little bit about the actual history. So most of the Newsies depicted in the film are based on real people from the strike. So Spot Conlon, Racetrack Higgins, Kid Blink, they're all real. However, Jack Kelly is a fabrication, though he may have been based on the real Kid Blink, who sort of ran the entire strike. So this strike was a youth-led campaign to force change in how the newspapers compensated their force of newsboys. So the strikers demonstrated across New York City for several days, effectively stopping circulation of the two papers along with the news distribution from many New England cities. It ended up lasting fully, like the full strike was for 2 weeks, so from July 18th to August 2nd, and it decreased circulation by a lot. So the final deal that was struck was that the price of the papers was not lowered back to the original price. However, the strike was successful in forcing the newspapers to offer full buybacks to their sellers, which means that if the Newsies weren't able to sell all of their papers, they could return back to the depot, give those papers back, and then get money back for the papers they were not able to sell. So basically, it was like a net even. So that was the thing. So the papers still cost more, but they could always sell them back. Now, the thing with Kid Blink, so he was the one who sort of started the whole thing. So he was like the Jack Kelly character. However, and this is part of the plot in the musical as well, rumors started to spread amongst the newsboys that Kid Blink and his number two, David Simmons, had betrayed the strikers and agreed to sell boycotted papers in exchange for a bribe from the newspaper executives. Both boys denied the charges, but people noticed that Kid Blink started wearing nicer clothes than normal. In response to the suspicions, Kid Blink and David ended up resigning from their leadership positions. However, but because they were sort of the charismatic leaders, the strike sort of lost a bit of their steam, which is why whenever the end of the strike came, they weren't able to get the prices down, but they were able to negotiate at least a buyback. So that's why the change happened. So yeah, so that's like a little bit of the history of like what actually happened. It's a really interesting story, and it has a lot to do with a lot of other political events that were going on at the time, especially with unions. So my homework is going to be to read up a little bit on the actual strike in 1899, because it was really, really interesting and a good show of like what can happen whenever you organize. Music and lyrics. Alan Menken. Oh boy!
Oh boy!
So, I think this is our first Menken. So he is an American composer, songwriter, conductor, music director, and record producer. So he is best known for his scores and songs produced by Disney. He did The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Pocahontas. He also did Little Shop of Horrors and obviously Newsies. He did The Hunchback. He did Hercules, Home on the Range, Enchanted, Tangled. Like, this guy, he's done all our favorites. With 8 Academy Awards, only composer Alfred Newman and Walt Disney have received more Oscars than Menken. He is tied for 3rd place with the late costume designer Edith Head, and he currently holds the record for the most wins for a living person.
Bonkers.
Yes. He also is one of the 16 people who has received an EGOT.
EGOT!
Yes, so he's gonna bunch of Academy Awards for Best Original Score or Song for all of his Disney stuff. He's got a bunch of Grammy Awards for the same things. He got his Tony Award for Newsies in 2012, and then he just got his Emmy for the 2020 Outstanding Original Song in a Children's Program for Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. So he just got it last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's Alan Menken. For actors and casting, I couldn't find a lot about the process going into like casting these or a lot of other options. The only other one that I could find was that Mila Jovovich, or however you pronounce her last name, auditioned for the role of Sarah, and she could sing it, but her line readings with Christian Bale were deemed abrasive.
The chemistry test did not go well.
Did not go well. So Elle Keats ended up getting cast instead. And she was chosen because she had genuine chemistry with Bale during the auditions, which I agree. They had good chemistry.
Yeah, they had chemistry.
The film features 2 Academy Award winners and 1 Academy Award nominee. So Christian Bale and Robert Duvall, and then Anne Margaret, who I believe played Meta.
She played Meta, yeah.
Yes. So in terms, I'll just talk a little bit about like what some of the people did before and or after. So Christian Bale, obviously, we all know who he is now. He's obviously the biggest breakout star from this movie. David Moscow played Davy, and he was in Big with Tom Hanks before this, and he's now a producer. Max Casella, who was Racetrack Higgins, he was 24 when he did this. Almost everyone else was actually a teenager, but this tiny person was 24
He's
when
small.
he did
He's
this.
small.
Yeah, he's a small boy.
Man, he's a small man.
He's a small man. He did a lot of voiceover work. Gabrielle Damon was Spot Conlon. He voiced Littlefoot in The Land Before Time. Ah! Oh. But he stopped acting in 2006, and he became a real estate agent. So, Bill Pullman, as we all know, went on to become our favorite president. And then Robert Duvall, who was famous for his role in Godfather as Tom Hagen. And obviously he also won an Oscar and did a lot of other stuff. Yeah. But that was sort of where I knew
Robert Duvall's, I think, a good actor. And
yeah, no, he's a really good actor. And it was just weird that he was in this movie.
And wasn't very good.
I don't know that he knew what movie he was in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you want to talk about reception?
Oh boy, do I. This movie was a box office flop. It only has a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes based on critical reviews. It ranks among the lowest grossing live action films Disney has ever made. However, that's partly because the film was pulled from many theaters after a poor opening weekend. It didn't do well, so it got pulled, so it didn't have the opportunity to maybe make more money. It had a $15 million budget. However, the film gained a lot of popularity later. It has like a large cult following from home video.
Yes.
It won no awards except for 5. It was nominated for 5 raspberries and won one of them for Meta's song High Times, Hard Times.
So Disney ended up producing a stage musical based on the film that played at the Paper Mill Playhouse in Jersey starting on September 25th, 2011 through October 16th. It had Jeremy Jordan as Jack. It had a lot of songs from the film as well as several new numbers, and as you said, they sort of changed around some of the characters, combined them to sort of give at least one female something to do in this movie. The musical opened to previews on Broadway at the Nederlander Theater.
Nederlander.
For a limited Nederlander, thank you. For a limited engagement in March 2012. It opened in June 2010, I believe, for its official engagement. And it was later extended after the first weekend of previews and then expanded again, and then it was an open-ended run, and it went on to earn 8 Tony nominations, including Best Musical. It won Best Choreography and Best Original Score, and the show ended up closing on August 24th. Yeah, it played 1,004 performances.
Yeah, it had a really good run, and it is very common for touring. It tours a lot as well.
Yes, it's a big tour one. And I think also a lot of high school, well, not a lot of high schools because there's just no females in high schools.
Wait, I have a fun fact about that.
Oh, good. Tell me.
The movie didn't do well. It was a box office flop. Got a cult following, but like a cult following does not always guarantee commercial success. Kenny Ortega said that Disney first realized there was a potential audience when they learned that high schools have been putting on unofficial productions of Newsies without Disney's permission for years.
Years!
And you're right, like, there's no... I'm assuming they would just have, like, a lot of ensemble filled with, like, girls dressed as guys. First glance, it wouldn't be a good high school musical, just because it's all guys, but that hasn't stopped America before.
That hasn't stopped anyone ever.
Yeah.
That's amazing. My fun fact, I have two.
Wait, we still have to do singing and everything else. I just want... That was relevant to...
That is relevant. Okay. Great.
Adaptations. But that was it for adaptations and sequels?
Yeah, that was all I got.
Okay.
Well, so they did a filmed version of the Broadway show, so that is also available on Disney Plus if you would like to watch that.
Good.
It has the actual... I really want to because I expected more dancing, and I feel like I will get it in that version.
You tell me when you watch it.
Okay.
Sangin'. Oh boy.
The chorus was great. Whenever they sang as a collective, I firmly enjoyed it. I love a male chorus. It's a hill I will die on. I found very few of the solos to be good.
But I wonder if those solos were particularly stylized to not sound like good singers. Yes,
and I'm also curious how much the accents adjusted how well these boys could actually sing.
Like, some of the kids are clearly good singers, and some are not trained singers, and I'm just curious, like, if they were directed to not try to sound super good, because it would kind of be jarring if these street urchins were, like, perfect pitch.
That's never stopped Broadway before.
But this isn't Broadway. This was a movie.
I know. Fair.
Broadway is not like that. Everyone is, like, perfect.
Everyone is perfect.
In terms of dancing, like, I thought some of the dancing was great, and some of it was very stagey.
Yes. I found the ensemble dancing, again, so it was like when it was the chorus dancing was really, really good, because it felt like they hired the chorus to be good at singing, good at dancing, and so that was really, really good. But then they just hired the kids, like the main named characters, to be actors, and then just taught them how to do things. And so it felt like some of the dancing, whenever it was just the chorus boys, was really phenomenal. And then whenever you added in some of the main characters, they had to dumb it down just a little bit so that the main characters could actually do it.
Yeah. Or, like, definitely simplify it and being like, all right, you're not going to travel. You're going to stand here and you're going to punch your arms in the air and then spin around.
Punch!
Do you have any gripes? Yeah. I've had a lot of gripes.
You talk about yours, because I had a gripe and I had a moment of joy, but I forgot to write them down. And I mentioned my moment of joy at the beginning of this episode, and I've completely forgotten it at this point.
I forget what it was. I've talked a lot about my gripes, but I think just my general gripe is that Christian Bale didn't seem to be able to act and sing at the same time.
Yeah. That's fair. I think my big gripe would have to be Robert Duvall. I don't think he knew what movie he was signing up for, and it showed. I think my moment of joy is mostly Spot Conlon, who knew exactly what movie he signed up for.
Like, he was a
And just the fact that every time he entered, he yelled, "Brooklyn!" And that was like his entrance to every scene. It was great.
My moment of joy was the tap dancing on the tables in King of New York, and also that one waiter.
That one waiter. Justice for the waiter.
Justice for every waiter in a musical ever.
So my fun fact, I have two. Christian Bale was supposedly ashamed to tell his friends that this movie was a musical.
Yeah.
Which makes total sense. And then also, as a prank, the boys filled Kenny Ortega's dressing room with newspapers. To the brim.
That just made the props department very angry. So, Newsies was the first film to shoot at the reconstructed New York City backlot at Universal Studios, which had been destroyed in a fire in 1990 that caused $25 million worth of damage.
Yike.
Francis Ford Coppola wanted the Newsies set for his upcoming production of Bram Stoker's Dracula. However, the sets were built on Disney's property. Universal Studios ended up charging Disney for anything they took away from the lot, leading Disney to leave most of the work behind, including the World Press Building.
Wow, that's cool. Only one bit of homework this week. Please read up on the actual 1899 Newsboys strike. It is very interesting bit of history.
Yeah, and
I think that's all she wrote.
This has been 5678, a movie musical podcast. We have been Anna and Grace. If you enjoyed what you listened to today, please give us a good review. Follow
Yeah.
us. We are available everywhere podcasts are found. And you can follow us on social media for teasers of upcoming episodes, as well as dramaturgical facts about current episodes.
Indeed.
At 5678, a movie musical podcast, on
Exactly.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
If all of that is not enough for you, you can always email us at 5678 a movie musical podcast at gmail.com.
And that's all she wrote for this episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know.